Okay, people. So now it's... Oh, God, I was going to say April. It's October. October 21st. Obviously, I'm in War Room 2. Right? You can see. Right? I took out the bins. So I'll have a bit more room in here, but obviously not too much. What can we do here? Oh, my eyes have been so gooey. So gooey, people. It's not fun living when you're not well. Living life when you're not well is hard. Not to mention going blind. But like physically not well, it's hard. The mornings are the worst because of all this, eh? And then during the day, it's just my eyes going all... And then you get all... And then you have to stop and you just gotta let them do whatever they do and then calm down. So anyway, I'm going to upload this after this because I've already was making, what do you call those things? Pot pies with my son. And he's already, when can we do this again, Mom? And I said, well, I don't know, about 3-4 weeks after some of these ones are gone, right? Because, you know, he's a tree cutter, so he works really, really hard, people. And he basically looks after himself. He does his own laundry. He cooks for himself, you know, right? And so anyway, he's like thinking to cook once a week. His meats, makes salads, whatever he does, and then put these things in mason jars so that he can take them to work and eat, right? And I'm like, I don't want you eating out of a jar all week, right? I'll try some of these, and then when things get a little more organized, you know, we'll pull out a couple of books for some ideas, and we'll do some other dinners that we can make that you can freeze, and when you get home from work, right? Whether you ate from your jar or not, you can still pop it in the oven, and it's good, right? Obviously convenient for me, too. So that's the purpose of that. And he paid $38 for this little turkey. And I couldn't justify throwing away the bones and the little bits of meat for as much money as he paid for that turkey. So that's initially how I started to make the broth. And then, because I already have things canned in terms of, you know, meals and frozen turkey broth and all that other stuff, I didn't know what to do with it. And I'm like, oh, I'll make turkey pot pies. Because I couldn't justify him spending that much money on a little teeny weeny turkey. I wanted to get a bang for his buck. And then after it was all said and done, he said that if I don't get out shopping, I hardly get out of the house, people. So every time I go into a grocery store, anytime I go into a grocery store these days, which is about once every month and a half, 2 months, 3 months, or whatever it is, because I'll send Tisha to the store with a little bit of money to pick up a few things, or like Marcane went and got me dog food the other day, right? And Tisha got me cat food, so I don't get out in the grocery store that much. So when I go, it's kind of like a culture shock, because everything is so expensive compared to what I remembered things to be. And honest to God, I don't know how people are coping with it. Raising families, it's like ridiculous. So he said that to buy those pot pies, they're about $5, $6 each. And I'm like, no, you can't. You got to be kidding me, because you know ours are going to be better than what you buy in the grocery store. He goes, yeah, he said for what we made, it was well over $200 if you were to buy it in a grocery store. And I didn't factor in the lards, right? Which were from food storage from back in the day, right? What do you call it? No more than $30. So for $30, at best, we got like over $200 worth of pot pies if you were to buy it retail. So, anyway, moving along. And then what you're going to see, I'm going to put this first, and then you'll see just a little bit of turkey pot pie stuff that we were doing. And then I really think I should stick with the format in regards to Sierra and what we are faced with, people, in terms of having to deal with her on a regular basis due to proper health care for her in terms of assisted living, which is a legislated act for people like her, right? And just the overall lack of health care that puts that monster in their place in terms of that monster can't be in my garage. That monster just can't show up at my house randomly when they want to, and just because you don't know what you're going to get, people. That's the thing. She could be cognitive. She could be cooperative, basically normal to some degree, or it could be completely whacked out, right? So, yesterday she was in my garage, right? And she wanted to come upstairs and make toast, right? And I'm like, look, you can't come here for these things all the time. And, we give her money, people. We give her money, at least 98% of the time when she comes here, which is quite regular because she's got nowhere else to go, right? And even then, people bring her here, whether it's the police, which has been documented, with them telling me that she's my daughter and I'm supposed to look after her, even though they know that if I have her in the house, through their network of co-workers under the, what is it called? United Nations, freaking smart cities agenda, right? They just come in here and take my grandchildren away. And they'll use Sierra as the excuse. As they tell me that I should have made a better choice. But yet, their co-workers are telling me that I should be looking after Sierra. As local residents in the neighborhood are dropping her off here saying, we don't want her. Right? So basically, she was in my garage, and I've said it before, people, don't be surprised if I don't come to you one day under the BC healthcare system and tell you that my daughter, Sierra Chorney, died in my garage. Because that's basically what it's going to come down to. One morning, Marcane's going to come out at 6:30 in the morning, or whenever, 5:30, 6:30, doesn't matter. Some days he leaves at 5:30 in the morning, depending on where his job is. Some days he leaves a little later. He's going to open the door, he's going to come out of the fucking basement, and then he's going to find his sister sprawled out on the cement. C'est la vie. And then it's going to be a big fucking scene with the paramedics and the police coming, right? And they're not going to rush her body out like they did Shimei, because there's nothing salvageable. Because whatever they're salvageable, you get it. It's like 8:30 in the morning and my day hasn't even started and I've already been up for like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. It was dark when I got up. They're salvaging it right now in terms of that loosh harvesting. Loosh. L-O-O-S-H. Where whoever feeds off of the dysfunction, the mayhem, the hurt, the pain, all these negative emotions, right? so that they can build wealth and establish authority for themselves and their co-workers. Because that's pretty much what it boils down to, right? Within their network of friends and co-workers. They need people like Sierra alive to milk that emotion of negativity so that builds up their esteem, their wealth, their position in life, their whatever the fuck it is that they think that they've got going before they die. And we're dealing with a lot of Moseses here that seem to think that they're going to live for fucking 210 years, if not 2,000 years. So, Sierra is being harvested on an emotional level through the physical pains that she's put through on a daily basis due to the lack of health care. Right? Like, I have these intensive street team professionals calling me up on my phone, asking me if Sierra's here. And I'm like, who is this? Okay. You've already called me once before. I've already told you that Sierra doesn't live here, right? And you've already been informed that you can talk to me and tell me what it is that you're doing with Sierra. But you people ignore that, right? So why are you calling me if you ignore directions from her to give me the information that I need, right? But yet you're calling me and you're telling me that you're looking for Sierra because it's a dire and emergency situation, and that's what the government puts your fucking little group of co-workers in for, is to go out in the streets and chase all these little homeless people that are sick and dying, like Sierra, right? Because when they show up at the hospital, the doctor does what the doctor does, and then the doctor just kicks them out in the fucking street. And you can go into the freaking Google, and you can Google Surrey Memorial Hospital kicking out homeless people and putting them in taxis and sending them out to fucking Abbotsford, Maple Ridge, and Mission, and places like that, where those mayors in those communities don't want them. Don't understand why Surrey is sending them 45 minutes to an hour drive in a freaking taxi to a completely different district where they know nothing or nobody. They know nothing about the district. They don't know nobody. And they just take them out there and drop them off. It's been documented, people, that this is what the Surrey Memorial Hospital does to homeless people. They wanted to send Sierra out to Langley. They have workers that come into the hospital and saying, oh, you can maybe get shelter in Langley. Here, I'll help you sick. Make a phone call, right? And you can talk to somebody in Langley, and they will confirm that if you can show up on your own, you will have shelter tonight after we kick you the fuck out of the hospital. Langley is over an hour drive over fucking highways. You have to go over highways and bridges to get into Langley. Okay? And this is where they're going to send somebody that's bleeding out from their butt, right? Bloated like a whale. As they stand there and say, well, we don't know what's wrong with you, but you can come back in a week from now and have another test with a specialist, right? And we're not being irresponsible because we're gonna hook you up with somebody in Langley. But you have to go find your own way, and we're not even gonna give you a fucking bus ticket to get there. Now move along, Miss Chorney. Okay? So where does she come? She comes here. She either asks me for money, which I'll give her regardless. She'll ask me for some fucking, what do you call that stuff? Cream of wheat or toast or something. And depending on what I'm seeing when she shows up at my door, I will either let her have it or I won't. Oftentimes I tell her to go to Sums because it's like one of those situations. If you feed the bears, they'll keep coming back. But my daughter's not a bear, right? But you see, these people that feed off of this shit, they're watching. And this is why I'm putting it on fucking line, because you're watching, but I'm also showing what it is that you're actually watching. Right? Because the public themselves are too busy running around criminalizing Sierra. right? That's how they justify it. Because she made the choice to be this way, right? Even though she's not the one that brings the fucking drugs into the community and gets little 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds hooked for life, okay? Because by that time, they're hooked for life. Only 6% ever recover. So if you've got 10,000 young people coming up in the fucking ranks year after fucking year, hooked on fucking drugs, and only 6% can ever clean up themselves and never go back, what does that tell you? That is political genocide in the country of Canada. And that there's a reason for that. And I've taken you there too. I've gotten into the car and I've driven down the fucking road and I've shown you monster house after monster house after monster house with fucking condos for the elderly where only 10% are going to have their assets illegally apprehended by the public guardian and trustee. If it ain't the fucking sisters in the crowd that are senior nurses robbing their brothers. Well, the provincial government is protecting that criminal activity right along with the banking system. This is War Room 2, people. So it's important that you see what's in my fucking garage because of the British Columbia, Canada healthcare system. With their funky acts, the Community Assisted Living Act. Well, guess what? War Room 1 is almost cleared out. Maybe I don't remember what everything was written into that fucking act, but I'll tell you something. When I sit in there and I start going through these acts again, people, because of the healthcare system, I'm like, in my head, before I even get there, and I'm going to end it on this fucking note, okay? Because I'm going to save this energy that I got to go downstairs and do the dishes. I'm washing all the fucking dishes out down there before we put them in the cupboards, right? And my son needs my help, so I'm going to do that for him. So that after it's all said and done, him and Tisha will have a nice little kitchen for themselves. I wish Jemay was here to see that, but she's not. But she still has a room. Okay? So anyway, after I'm done the dishes and shit, but as I'm up here, doing whatever organizing, you can see me setting up Auntie Shmay's room, so it cleared out a little bit of War Room 1. And I'm like, oh my God, you gotta go in there and start reading these fucking acts. Legislated acts from the province of British Columbia, Canada. Not to mention the Criminal Code of Canada. Here's a new book, people. New. Here's the old book, people. Old. So if I'm going from old to new, what is that? I'm reviewing. I'm reinforcing what I already know. I've already read them, people. I've already written out lawsuits citing them in full application. Not in, it's section, let's see, let's just go randomly. What do we pick? What did we find? We'll go with 374 under the Criminal Code of Canada. Drawing document without authority except. What does that mean? Everyone who, see, can't read, people, with intent to defend and without lawful authority makes, executes, draws, signs, accepts, or endorses a document in the name or on the account of another person by procuration or otherwise, or this applies to Uncle John, people. This is what his sister freaking did. This is what the bank of CIBC Bank, this is what CIBC Bank did in partnership with a rogue fucking government employee. They robbed him of his money, people. They did it under the Criminal Code of Canada. They broke laws, and they broke laws through those legislative acts that are sitting up in War Room 1 that I've already fucking read. So if I've already read them and I've already cited them down, then it just must be a review when I sit down and do it for Shimei. And this is what I'm trying to say. Because right now I feel defeated, people. Okay? And this is why I'm going to title this freaking video. When you feel defeated. I could say I, make it personal, or I could say when you feel defeated. If I put it on myself, then people see it as I'm feeling sorry for myself. And I am. If I try and make it more generic, maybe it might help other people just to fucking keep on moving forward and go make your own pot pies and save yourself fucking $130. Right? And then maybe when you, after it's all said and done, even at the halfway mark, you're like, oh, why am I making pot pies? I don't want to be doing life. And then when you're getting off past the halfway mark, just remind yourself you're at the halfway mark. And then when you get to the 3/4 mark, this is what I said to my son. Well, we're 3/4 done now, working together like this. If you weren't here, I'd be here till like 11 o'clock midnight by myself. But with you being here, we're almost done by 8. And yeah, we've got just that little stretch of mile left to go. But you know what? We're past the halfway mark now. And then now that it's done, you feel good. You saved yourself some money. You got good nutritious food. You've got food stacked up for future use. And if you do it again, you can only get better at it. And that's how I'm kind of looking at this stuff. It's just a review for me. Does it mean I know everything? Obviously not. I have my strong points and I have my weak points. And obviously, whatever it is that I'm going to be going through once I get these fucking lawsuits written up, well, one, right? But I'm bringing in the other two. Because they're evidence. Like, I don't know what CIBC Bank was thinking. Like, just because I filed them separately in terms of Fraser Health Authority and CIBC Bank with Uncle John. And the only reason I did them separately was because I was just trying to separate it for the people that were coming into it to see how each one was culpable to each other, because neither one of them could have done it without the other. Right? And the first thing that I picked up confirms that. So, for them it's a game because they got the money. The witnesses are dying off. Uncle John is dead. Shimei was murdered. She's dead. So she's not a witness no more. However, and I'm going to end it here, people. Look at the date on this one, and I have another one. It's just mixed up in my papers here. Look at the date on this one, people. 2019, nothing has changed. Look at the names on it, people. Whose names do you see on it, people? Bernard John Duncan. I wonder who he is. What happened to him? Really, what happened to Mr. Bernard John Duncan? People should be asking themselves this question. What happened to him? It's addressed to both of us. Doesn't matter whether you know the account or not, because this is a dormant account that never fucking goes anywhere. Because it's been hijacked. It's been hijacked by the banking system. By those so-called fucking professionals that never commit no fucking crimes. This is an active policy. It is good till, I don't know if it will say it here. You probably need the original. What is it called? Opening balance. We know it doesn't seem like much, but Uncle John and I, we were putting money into it because we were waiting for Shimei to actually go to a real college. All right? Before we signed it over to her. We had taken some money out, so we were going to put the money back. And she wanted this after Uncle John died, but she couldn't access it, people. She couldn't access it because it's been hijacked by CIBC Bank. Basically. And Fraser Health Story. Because of what they did to Uncle John. That's the same thing with Andre's account. Right? So what, are they going to keep this account to keep it fucking open till 2032? Because that's when it comes to the end. 2032, people. Keep Uncle John hidden like their dirty secret till 2032? Just so that they can steal the rest of that money? Because that's what it boils down to. They don't follow the Criminal Code of Canada. They don't follow their rules, legislated acts, and fucking, what do you call those things? Statutes. Mandates. They don't. Already shown you that with Uncle John. They hide behind the court. They release monsters out in the community, tell you that you should look after the fucking monster, even though they're the ones that fucking created it. Right? And all to make you feel defeated and overwhelmed. As they deny you fucking access to lawyers, but they try and make it look like you can get a lawyer because they send you to what? To the BC Lawyer Association for perhaps somebody to maybe help you? Right? As they insult you while they help you? And then, when you take it upon yourself to do what you need, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, God helps those who help themselves, and you take the shit to court yourself, what do they bring in? Demon dragons. Right? And because they got all the money, and they're already corrupt, and they know the system, and they've got everybody paid off that worked for them in that system, it's a slam dunk. Right? Just so that they can keep the wealth and the authority as they insult you. And then release the monster back into the community so they'll find their way because they can't catch a bus to go to fucking Langley because they never got a bus ticket. All they got was a fucking phone call and a voice on the other side. As they've been doping Sierra up with morphine before they send her out in the fucking streets with no place to go. So I'm telling myself in my head, well, when you get into War Room 1 and you sit down with those legislative acts, as a matter of fact, when I turn off this camera, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to do a little quick, and you'll see. I'm getting close to it. And then when I get in there, what is it, people? Do I have to relearn everything? Write it down knowing that it means absolutely fucking nothing because it's fucking rhetoric when you take it into the real fucking world in terms of taking it into a court system with or without a lawyer? Right? It's all rhetoric. Am I relearning? Am I learning? Or is it just a review? If you go to school and you learn something, right? The first time around, what is that? You're just learning something, right? And then you go on and do whatever, and then you go back, and you're having to find yourself looking at the same materials like algebra. See it like algebra. That's how I should see it. Like fucking algebra. When you start off with algebra, what do? You look at the algebra, and it's like, oh my God, it's a big-ass fucking book. And it's got all this gigamaroo stuff in there that you could never understand because it's algebra, right? Well, when you start learning algebra, what do? You start with the simple equations. So, your answer is this long. Here's the question. By the time you're done the question, your answer is this long. And then you have the modules, so you have 1 to 12. By the time you get into module 6, and you're now answering questions, your answer is maybe this big. By the time you get from the top to the bottom, there's your answer when you're doing algebra. And then when you get into the 12th module, you start at the top of the page, and you find that you're at the bottom of the page, and you have to turn the fucking page, and you have to keep on going until you get halfway through that page before you get the answer. And then you put it away. Life goes on. Wasn't your style, wasn't anything you were interested in, but it was something you were so-called required to do so that you could go to college and grow up and be a responsible human being. And then you go back into something where you're having to redo it all over again, even though you've already done it, people. And it got you nowhere initially the first time around. Outside of you can run around bragging that you've done algebra, right? And then when you go in the second time, what are you doing? You're not starting with the main module, and if you are, you're going to quickly jump ahead because you've already done it. So it's kind of like a review, right? You're not relearning per se, you're reviewing what you've already learned. Which should be easier than the first time in terms of retaining the knowledge and the information that you're gaining as you're starting from scratch again. Because when I get up into War Room 1 for Chimay, it's like I'm having to start from scratch again. But I've got ghosts following me, people, because as soon as the first fucking page that I opened in this book and read specifically pertained to Uncle John. So this is why it's important that it's going to go to court with Chimay. And before CIBC Bank tries to explain themselves to me, somebody that they can take fucking advantage of, because they've already done it. They've already fucking done it, people. They can explain it to a judge with the, what's his name? David Eby, who is the Governor General of British Columbia, Canada. Right? Who happens to be a lawyer. They can explain it to him. Their activities when it applies to the Criminal Code of Canada. Not that, oh, well, when Judy showed up at freaking the pro bono, she was in front of a professional judge, a well-experienced judge who knew what they were saying, and she ignored to take that advice. So therefore, we're not culpable for what we did to Mr. Bernard John Duncan. Because if Judy would have jumped on the bandwagon right away, taken it to fucking court, and sued his sister, John would have been saved. Now, if the bank would have protected John and his family and his assets, if they really felt that Uncle John was in danger of losing his assets, they should have taken it to the public guardian and trustee, and they should have fucking done it through a court. But they didn't. They took their fucking fees through Eleanor. Because she bought him off with bribe money, people. Obviously, these rooms make me hot. And when you're feeling hot, this is what you do. Hold on. I rearranged things in here. Now I have to find it. Now I have to find it. Where, oh where have you gone? Where, oh where can you be? Where, oh where have you gone? Where, oh, where can you be? Tell me. Where, oh, where can you be? Tell me, where, oh, where can you be? Oh, I'd like to know. It's just a prop, people. It's all it is. Don't take it out of context. I want to spoof up these things. I told you that. Right? Like I said, these swords, they're godsend, okay? I don't know where they came from. I simply just went to a garage sale out of the blue. And I needed swords. I wasn't thinking that I'd ever find any, trust me. It's not like you can go out and just find swords, but on that day, I did. And so, this is what you do when you're feeling defeated. And instead of thinking that you're having to learn something all over again, because in essence, that's what you're doing, right? It's more like a review. I'm not really too sure if I'm doing that correctly. I have this one. It's probably better if I hold it like this and go like this. Okay? You have to spit on it. Oh yeah. This sword's gonna be nice and shiny. I have to make a what do you call that for it? A sheath. Right, see? I'm going to shine it up. I'm going to decorate it. I'm going to hang some eagle feathers off of it. Right, I got eagle feathers. I'll make a covering for it. I got 2 of them. A little 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, an hour here. Hopefully I'll get them done very soon. Okay, so I'm going to take this now and I'm just going to show you War Room 1 and then I'm going to upload this. That was done years ago. Just hold on a minute, I'm busy. There won't be no legal aid. They don't give you help after they maim you. Okay? It doesn't work like that. Okay, people, so today is the 19th of October, 2019. Which is a Saturday, right? Pretty blue, people. But, you know, you gotta just keep chugging along. So anyway, my son spent like $38 for this little turkey. Now, mind you, it was fresh, but still, for the Canadian Thanksgiving, right? So I cooked it up, whatever, okay. And then I'm like, you know, you spent way too much money for that turkey. And I'm going to boil up the bones, right? So I've been stewing them for the last couple of days, right? And the broth is really good. And like, I don't need turkey this, turkey that in cans, because I've already got all that, right? And like, Amari likes his ground turkey in broth that I can for him. That is really good. And so anyway, I've decided to make turkey pot pie. And because my son will help me with making the pastries, what happens is we end up making lots. I don't know if we'll make that much, but it's hard to say how much I'm going to make yet. Alright, and then since I'm doing the turkey pot pie, I'm going to do a couple of hamburger ones at the same time. So basically what's happening today, people, is I'm doing a lot of food prep, right? Obviously I have to debone the stock pot, right? And this might be for something else, I don't know what. And, you know, I'm now preparing vegetables in bulk, potatoes, carrots. I think I might have some corn in there. You know, whatever I'm going to do, right? Put some onions in with the hamburger one, but not with the turkey one. You know, get the gravies ready, right? Because I'm making two separate kind. And then what happens is my son, he does the pastry. So if we were doing apple pie, for example, right? I would peel the apples and get them ready, and he'd get all the pie pans ready so that we make a whole bunch at one time. So that's basically what's going to happen here. And I'm going to put mine in Auntie Shemay's fridge. She has a fridge now, people, right? Since there's some nice room in there. And I don't know how much I'm going to be videotaping this, because my son isn't necessarily YouTube, you know, like me, right? He probably wouldn't want to be like, he'll be, let me just do it, right? So, but other than that, Andre is going to be rolling out, oh, I don't know what happened to his rolling pin. It was here, he found it. So he's going to be rolling out the dough today too, right? Because I asked my son to let Andre help today with rolling out the dough. So basically that's what's going to happen today. And then tomorrow, after that's all done, I figure I'm going to try and get up into my sewing room, right, aka War Room 2, and, you know, get on with finishing up packing that box, you know, and a couple of envelopes with books, padded envelopes with books. All right, one lady in the Bronx, I'm going to send her some walnuts. I don't know about the lady in Massachusetts if she wants a couple, right? Just to, you know, just for the kids, right? To plant and see if you grow a little tree. If you get a little tree, it will live in a pot for a while. Give it some plant food, you know. If it gets root bound, transplant it, right? That's the best that you can do. And then if you find that it's, you know, outgrowing your environment for whatever reason, just try and find a home for it. That's all you have to do, right? Take it to a church or something, and maybe they'll plant it on their land, or, you know, give it to somebody who has a house, because I think in the Bronx they don't have a lot of like open space like my yard, right? It's a lot of condensed stack and pack living that's, you know, like years and years and years and years and years and years, and like built in the 30s and that type of thing, because they're old communities. So I don't know, like, you know, they didn't ask for the walnuts, but they're dying out here in British Columbia, Canada. And before I allow that to happen, you know, I've been giving them away here and there throughout the years. And I have a few in my fridge. So at the last minute, see, I don't have to send to Kitimat, because I already did that in the beginning of 2019. I sent a whole bunch out before spring, right? I sent some to Missouri, I sent some to Kitimat, and I sent some to Brazil. This time I'm going to send to New York, which the weather is compatible for a walnut tree, because, you know, they don't mind being encased in snow, right? When they get the nuts, they're going to have to put them in the fridge, though, over the winter and let them sit for 3 months in the coldest part of the fridge, and then bring them out, you know, before spring really hits. Put them in the dirt, put them in the sun, keep the dirt moist, and, you know, they say 50% of the nuts that you plant will grow, but because we're mainly dealing with immature nuts, because this last season with the English walnut was terrible, it's hard, it's a hit and miss. And then the black walnuts that I'm going to be sending, there was none this year, people, because they cut down the tree. So any black walnut nut that I'll be sending anywhere will be from last year that's still sitting in paper bags that may or may not grow. Right? And if they grow, well, then that's great. You know, that's I don't even know how to put words to it. So basically, all I'm saying is I've decided to spend my day making turkey pot pie, hamburger pot pie, and then tomorrow we're going to get up into War Room 2 and work on that Soul Train. Hold on. My son likes the pie that he made. This is the turkey, and this one is the hamburger. More turkey. And he's doing the crust. You can see, we've got all the pie pans full of dough in there, right? So, he started making pies with me. Oh God, when he was young, right? He was in his teens. So we did one time like over 50 pies, 75 pies, him and I. So no more than $20.
Do you remember talking to her on the phone?
Everything, you'll see how many pies.
And I left our iPhone just for that. So when she FaceTimed me, my phone was dying. I was just getting back in the house.
October 21st, 2019. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sierra.
Yeah.
Ow.